Abjur kul tafulat wabazun biwasamos temta. We, the indigenous peoples, walk to the future in the footprints of our ancestors, from the smallest to the largest living beings, from the four directions, from the air, from the land, from the mountains, from the waters. The Creator has placed us, the indigenous peoples, upon our mother, the earth.
Rahubat, indigenous goddesses and gods of this land, Master Iri wa Alubera. I am sovereign empress, heiress of this land, Kairi. I am the honorable empress, Naisutet Neferutet Hatshepsut Zael, also known as Empress Hatshepsut, also known as Naisutet, also known as Chiefess Rising Cobra, the Wajet Chiefess. Everyone know our ancient ancestors, the pharaohs, had the cobra on their crowns, right? This cobra symbolizes divinity, sovereignty, divine protection, and royal authority on this land. We are the royal family of Kairi. Okay. I have three questions that you all three questions that persons wanted the matriarch to respond to. So, alright, question number one. Alright, I would have posted a previous video, right? And someone messaged and said, why did you put indigenous sovereign as your status when indigenous means sovereign, and sovereign means indigenous. That is what they said, right? Okay, to answer your question, indigenous means sprung from the soil. Autochthonous means indigenous, right? Sovereign means supreme ruler of the land, right? And also I will quote from Malachi Zediok, one of his scriptures here, because we all know Malachi Zediok scriptures is the truth. That being have never been wrong on this planet. Even up to today, other people will be taking his information, and they don't want to give respect where respect is due, right? Right. So in this book here, what the master has to say about sovereign, right? He have a question. He said, what does the word sovereign mean and how is it used? According to the American Heritage Dictionary, 3rd edition, sovereign means self-governing, independence, a sovereign state, having supreme rank or power. According to a comprehensive etymological dictionary of the English language, the word sovereign comes from the Middle English Old French sovereign, from Middle English superanus, meaning chief principal, whence also Spanish soberano, Indian soprano, from Latin super, meaning above. The word sovereign is used for what it means, as seen in the Dred Scott versus Stanford case, and I quote, they both described the political body who, according to our Republican constitution, form the sovereignty, and who hold the power and conduct the government through their representation. And every citizen is a part of this people and a constituent member of this sovereignty, right? So here what he said, he put here, what is our status? Our status is indigenous and sovereign. That is why you would see on our tribal traveler cards, our status is indigenous sovereign diplomats, right? So I hope that answers question number one. Second question here, let me look on my phone here. This person say, I am in possession of a statutory declaration. Could you explain the difference between the statutory declaration and the indigenous declaration? Okay, the statutory declaration is a corporate instrument, right? Because the statutory declaration, what it says, the statutory declaration is under the Statutory Declaration Act of the Corporation Trinidad and Tobago, right? And if you look at the statutory declaration, to all names is always in all caps and black, right? Also, you would see, right? You would see also it says here that you have to go by a notary public and those things, right? Also, in some other sanitary declaration, you would see this for like indigenous people who want to like declare their indigenousness, you would see it showing that the mother sold you on the sanitary declaration when really whoever at that point be it the mother or the father on the birth certificate, it's both of them you have to make note on your indigenous declaration, right? So okay, so the indigenous declaration, all right, that is what we the matriarchy provide for indigenous people on this land, Master Erie, right? In our indigenous declaration, all our appellation is written in red, right? Lowercase, because lowercase and red means living, flesh and blood, spirit, soul, indigenous, sovereign, right? Right. And also you would see once we would require like your birth paper, once you have like the mother sold the child, right? Someone have the mother sold the child, we make note of that. Sometimes both parents' name is on the birth paper, which will be the mother and the father, right? Right. Some of them even strange to you see like hospital clerk name and all right, but the patriarchal system also against the female, with all these different information that I'm saying here to you, all they keep saying is the mother is the mother. No. Every birth paper is different, right? Right. And also when you are doing your indigenous declaration, you don't ever use the corporation ID cards, identification cards. You use your tribal cards and you sign your name in red ink, right? And also make note of this too. When the mother went in the hospital when she was in labor and she had her baby, right? They told her to come back in 6 months' time to register, right? When they come back in the 6 months' time to register, they have this receipt where they give you a requesting birth paper. That is the name of the receipt, right? And they give you a handwritten something, right? When the mother or father or whoever is the person who is the informant, right? Get this paper here. Right. So it has nothing to really do with the child. It has nothing to do with the child's birth date. It's the registration date is where everything takes place. So you must mention the registration date on the indigenous declaration. So let me repeat. The indigenous declaration will have the indigenous person indigenous tribal member appellation in red. It will make note of the informant, be it the mother and the father, or the hospital clerk, because every birth paper is different. Also, you'll be signing in red. Also, you will be using your tribal traveler's card, right? Also, it will make a note of the registration date, because it's the most important date. It is more important than your birth date, right? And also, when we do all these things, we do not go by notary public, because the notary public is for the citizens, right? Who do we go by, right? There is an indigenous notary on this land, right? The matriarchy is the royal notary of this land, Kairi Wa Alubero. So hope that answers your second question. This is the last question here, the third question. Right. So the third question that was asked to the matriarchy, because we know the matriarchy is for the people. They asked, okay, last but not least, they said woman place is inside. That is what they say. Woman's place is inside. Kenny Messi, your place is inside. For they say woman place is inside. Come in.
Yeah. Our place is all over because Kayudu Alubera is all ours. The land was always there. You understand? It didn't go anywhere. Right. Rahubad, everybody, brothers, sisters, indigenous peoples, the thinking that matriarch should be silenced, not seen. The important thing is getting the information or the message out there. And the best medium for that message to happen is the social media. So, where is this thinking coming from? Most people would know that thinking was in the time of the patriarch or moon cycle, which has ended. Now is the time of the sun cycle, matriarch rule, new thinking, new laws of the land of the original people. Not admiralty law, not corporate jurisdiction, not corporate friction. When the Europeans came here and saw men under the woman's rule, they immediately tried to change it, even going as far as taking some of the Cherokee men to England to educate them in the English ways. With this British influence, these men returned and changed the old ways to male dominance. They had no idea that allowing these Europeans into their country was the beginning of their destructions. And all of this is backed up by the let's say the record straight, and the author is Chief Thunderbird Black Eagle, also known as Dr. Malachi Ziyok L. or Atumbure. Right, to continue. You all have to understand that women and men knew their roles within the tribes and worked together as a part of all. What the colonists didn't understand was that in our ancient culture, women were not the weak, spoiled creatures. The American Indians acknowledged that a strong woman made a strong nation, and at the head of the council was the beloved woman of the nation, whose voice was considered to be that of the Great Spirit speaking through her. They deified the woman because all men came from her. Women were the progenitors of the nation, owning the land and soil. But the Europeans were under the biblical impression that women came from man and that they must not be seen and not be heard. In other words, know your place. You understand? Yeah. But as I said, that is white magic and moon cycle thinking. We stop feeding those forces. Right now, we are doing what nature created us to do. Acknowledge and respect nature. One of our original instructions. Wadua.
Wadua, indigenous peoples of this landmass, Ka Iri Wa Alubera.